News Radio 700 WLW.
A lot of us are finding that college is really, really expensive, and the debt that is run up by colleges is enormous. Now, of course, if you're an elite, if you're somebody that went to a graduate school or a law school, or even if you just pursued a master's degree, well, Joe Biden is here to help if he can. He wants to just give money away to you. Giving money to a problem, throwing money at a problem, it's never the answer for anything in life. Of course, Uncle Joe doesn't feel that way, but nevertheless, it is an expensive proposition. And universities more and more are charging more and more so that you can go there and maybe or maybe not get a job that will pay you enough to pay off that college debt in a timely fashion. A lot of people are thinking, is college really worth it? They look at the job market and they see, well, wait a minute, how much does an electrician make? Well, wait, a plumber makes how much? You mean I could actually open my own auto repair shop and make how much money? I just did a story yesterday, I hope you were listening, that the nursing profession is moving away from requiring college degrees, and we had one example of a nurse, a traveling nurse, and there are a lot of those out there now. You go where the job is. She made $187,000 in 9 months. In 9 months. So the question becomes, what is college anymore? How is it helping anymore? And how is preparing for college the thing you want to do as opposed to preparing for a specific trade? More and more, we're rethinking that. In 2019, Americans ranked preparing for college 10th on a survey conducted by Populous, which is a nonpartisan think tank. 3 years later, in 2022, preparing for college ranked 47th out of 57 items. What's going on here? Standing by is Alexa Nguyen. She's with the Vested Group, and she heads up a program aimed at attracting high school graduates who may not want to or need to go to college. She's an expert, they say, on Gen Z employees. We'll find out. Let's welcome her into 700 WLW. Alexa, how are you on this glorious Friday?
Great. Thank you for asking. How about yourself, Ken?
I'm hanging in there, but I got a lot of time before midnight, so I can get to great. I'll be there right with you. Just give me some time, okay?
Sounds good.
So I don't know when it was. It might have been back in the great recession of 2008 when money got tight, and it might have been the pandemic, but at some point along the way, and it was probably at several points, the affordability and the feasibility of a college education took a hit, and then maybe reality set in, and that the jobs that you needed a college education for were not as plentiful as they once were, and there were plenty of jobs out there, particularly in the service field, whether it would be heating, plumbing, whatever it may be. There were jobs there and great need for those jobs, and money was there. I don't know where it began. It had to be a gradual process. There wasn't one mitigating factor, was there?
No, not one mitigating factor, but calling back to the Great Recession, things definitely started shifting then. But as the economy rebounded, people went back to college a bit. I think the pandemic was another inflection point that has brought us back to where we are. But unlike the Great Recession, I suspect that we're not going to move back to emphasizing four-year college degrees as the one and only way to advance in your career.
I'm looking at this survey. It was done by a company called Populous. I'm not familiar with them, but they had in 2019 Americans ranked preparing for college 10th on a survey of things you need to do in life. And by 2022, 3 years later, it was 47th out of 57 items. That's a really precipitous fall. I'm stunned by that in one sense, but on the other, I think, just what we talked about before, maybe not so much. But it does seem like a huge fall from 10th to 47th.
Yeah, absolutely. And, of course, we all know what happened in those 3 years, right? That was smack dab in the middle of the pandemic. So, you know, one of the big shifts that we've seen since then is being prepared for a career in that same survey rose from 27th before the pandemic all the way up to 6th. And, you know, other highly ranked measures were thinking critically to problem solve and making decisions and also demonstrating character. So, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just sitting here wondering what while you were saying that, I'm just wondering, is it a generational thing? Is it a parental thing? Is it a monetary thing? You know, Gen Z, they're an interesting group in the sense that I sense they want more jobs than careers. They want a job that will fit their lifestyle, not necessarily a 25, 30-year career where on the last day they get a cake and a gold watch. I think there's a huge difference between that generation and, for example, baby boomers. But is this a generational thing?
You know, I do think there is more of an emphasis on working to live rather than living to work for Gen Z. But let's talk about Gen Z for a second. They're those who were born between 1997 and 2003. So in the year 2020, they were between 17 and 23 years old, which puts them at finishing high school, graduating college, starting their careers, if you're following that traditional 4-year like college education path. And so, you know, that was obviously a very disruptive time. And I think the pandemic really showed everyone that the way that we learn and work and live doesn't have to be the way that it has always been.
Yeah, not your father's Oldsmobile, that's for sure. But I think another thing could be that it costs a lot of money to go to college. And if you go to college, if you're going to college in this day and age, you're not doing it in 4 years. I got out of the college I went to in 4 years because the courses were there. The university at that point in the history of humanity was not looking to be a profit center. Most of these larger universities look at themselves, not unlike hospitals, as profit centers. Okay, we'll educate you, we'll heal you, but we're going to do it our way, and you're going to have to go 5 years, sometimes 5.5, 6 years. And so, I think a lot of students, or perhaps their parents, are looking at that and saying, we can't afford that. And the student is saying, I don't think I want to spend 5 more years of my life in school. And I worry about that as an education problem on one hand, but on the other hand, I totally get the fact that it may not have the reward at the end of the rainbow financially that you think as you enter college. I totally get that. And maybe Gen Zers get it better than anyone else.
Yeah, absolutely. A staggering 38% of students who start college or university don't finish. And so they leave with no degree, and they still have that student debt as well.
Yeah, and if you're going to leave high school, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to immediately go out in the workforce. You have to go to college. I mean, there are trade schools that are out there. I have a lot of friends that are contractors. They're always busy. I have friends that repair cars. They have car repair businesses. They're always busy. And, the old adage, well, do you want to work with your mind or work with your hands? Well, I got news for you. Your mind is your hands right now, and you're making a lot of money that way. So I think there's a lot of opportunity now that maybe wasn't there even 10 years ago with trades and things like that. Would you agree?
Yeah, I totally agree. It turns out that the average salary in 2023 for a plumber is the same as the average salary just across the board in the U.S. It's about $58,500.
Wow. I read this week, it's fascinating. There is such a nursing shortage in this country that nurses are being recruited from one hospital system, say in Arizona, to go to work for another hospital system in Ohio. And in some cases, they don't need college degrees. You don't need a degree. You didn't have to go to school. You didn't have to go to a 4-year college and then a nursing school. I think brightness and I think dedication are two things that are as important right now as a quote-unquote 4-year college degree. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think this tight labor market has prompted a lot of employers in all industries to shift their focus from requiring a college degree or any sort of like education credentials and shift that focus more towards experience and skill set. Yeah. So you have companies like Google, IBM, and Delta reducing educational requirements, and also a government sector too, like the state of Maryland this year cut college degree requirements, and that's led to a surge in hiring. Wow.
I mean, there's certain things you want a college degree. You want that person to have a college degree. I would think like cardiac surgery, it might be a good idea if the guy has a degree as opposed to, a high school education. But but for the vast majority of people, I think it was just, I don't know, Alexa, I think it was kind of like habit, right? I mean, particularly for the greatest generation, the boomers, I never had a chance to go to college. You're going to college. Okay, my dad sent me to college. I'm sending you to college. And it was this myth that was passed down from generation to generation without regard for exactly what was going to happen after that degree. It's amazing. 40% of the people that get law degrees never practice in the law profession, yet they have this incredible debt they have to deal with. You mentioned 38% leave college before their 4 years are up, and they're saddled with debt. What do they have? They have 2 years in an institution, overpriced, and now they have all of this debt that they have to pay off. I think there's got to be a real, as I call them, come to Jesus moment with the kid, the student, and the parents about, okay, what are we doing with this, and what do you want to do? And you may find that college really isn't that much in the equation. How much do you think this is going to be a trend going forward? I mean, you're looking ahead, and my guess is you'll be an expert on the next. What is the next after Gen Z? What comes next? That's the last letter in the alphabet. What's next, Alexa?
Yeah, it's kind of like the hurricane naming system. You loop back to the beginning. So we are now looking at Generation Alpha.
Oh, gosh. We've made the complete loop. But the fact of the matter is, what do you see? Let's just say for Generation Alpha or for Generation Beta that may be in embryonic stage right now. What do you see?
Yeah, college is a great place to expand your horizons and learn so much, not just academically, but also about yourself. Like I personally love my college experience, but the time is over where we should have a one-size-fits-all approach. College is a clear pathway to upward mobility, but that's not the only pathway. We've got, like you mentioned, trade schools, apprenticeships, on-the-job training, certifications. A lot of companies like I think I mentioned Google, IBM, and Delta have reduced their education requirements. And then Walmart, who is the U.S.'s largest private employer, 75% of their salaried store management positions, those folks started their careers in hourly jobs. So, there's definitely more room to develop your skills and your experience, and college is not the only way to do that.
Alexa Nguyen, you are with the Vested Group, and it says here you head up a program aimed at attracting high school graduates who may not want to get a college degree. So you and I talked about possibilities and abstracts. Now we're talking about the real stuff. What happens at the Vested Group, and if somebody wants to get a hold of you because you think you and I were making sense today, what do they do? How do they find you?
Yeah, thanks so much. So the Vested Group has an apprenticeship program targeting folks with high school diplomas who are bright, motivated, and wanting to learn. And we give them on-the-job training and a pathway to become an IT consultant without having to go to college. And you can learn more at thevested.com/TVGU. That's TVG, like the Vested Group, and then YOU.
There you go. Good stuff, and a great outlook and deep dive into what's going on with the younger folks, the Gen Zers, soon to be the alphas, then the betas. And I don't think I'll be around for whatever comes up at C. What would C be? Alpha, beta?
You know what?
Centaurian? I don't know. I don't have to worry about that. I won't be around. But you will be. Alexa Nguyen, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Ken. Have a good one.